Welcome to Dr. Conjuring's bone-chilling horror stories, where the terror feels too real to be fiction. Before we dive into tonight's story, make sure to grab your headphones. Trust me, you'll want the full experience. These stories are designed to be felt, not just heard, and the darkness is best experienced with your eyes closed. We don't always need a screen to frighten you. Sometimes it's just the sound that creeps under your skin. So sit back, close your eyes, and let the horror take hold. It was December, deep in the heart of winter. Montana's wilderness was blanketed in heavy snow, the pines sagging under its weight, the cold bit at any exposed skin, sharp enough to make your eyes water. Every breath hung in the air like smoke. Dad and I walked side by side through the forest, our boots crunching loudly on the frozen ground. His .30-06 rifle was slung over his shoulder, a trusted companion on countless hunting trips. I carried my smaller bolt-action .243, my gloved fingers wrapped tightly around the stock. Even through the gloves, I could feel the chill. This was our yearly tradition, a father-son hunting trip that meant everything to me. Dad was a rugged outdoorsman, the kind of man who could read the woods like a book. His thick beard had patches of grey, and his eyes never seemed to miss a thing. I admired him more than I could ever say. The forest was unsettlingly quiet. No birds, no rustling of animals, just silence that pressed down on us. Even the wind barely whispered through the trees. The sun hung low, casting long shadows across the snow. "Stay alert, Logan," Dad said, his voice low. "I am," I answered, though unease gnawed at me. It felt like the woods were holding their breath. We followed a narrow deer trail, the snow marked by faint tracks. As we crested a small ridge, Dad suddenly stopped, raising a hand to signal me to halt. My heart thumped as I scanned the clearing below. The snow-covered ground was untouched by human feet, but near the tree line were fresh tracks, large and deep. "What made those?" I whispered. Dad crouched to get a better look. "Not sure," he said, his tone serious. "They're fresh." The forest seemed to close in around us. Even the faint rustle of wind had disappeared. Dad stood up, gripping his rifle. "Stay close," he said. We moved cautiously, following the tracks deeper into the woods. The further we went, the darker it became. Shadows stretched across the snow, twisting into strange shapes. Then I smelled it, something musky and sharp, like wet fur and decay. My stomach churned. "Dad," I whispered, "do you smell that?" He nodded, his expression grim. "Yeah, stay sharp." We hadn't gone much further when we heard it, a faint rustle, followed by the soft crunch of snow. Something was moving just beyond the trees. Dad raised his rifle, scanning the woods. I gripped mine tighter, my palms slick with sweat despite the cold. The rustling stopped. "It's circling us," Dad murmured. Panic prickled at the edges of my mind. My breath quickened. Then I saw it, a dark shape slipping between the trees, too fast to get a good look. "Dad!" I hissed. "I see it," he said, his voice steady. "Don't shoot unless I say so." The creature moved again, closer this time. My heart pounded in my chest. Suddenly, it stepped into the clearing, massive, covered in matted fur. Its eyes gleamed in the fading light, and its breath puffed out in clouds. It looked like a nightmare come to life. "Run!" Dad shouted. I bolted up the trail, my legs pumping through the snow. Dad's rifle cracked behind me, the sound echoing through the trees. I glanced back to see the creature charging, its claws slashing through the air. Dad fired again, but the beast didn't stop. Terror gripped me as I stumbled and fell, snow stinging my face. I scrambled to my feet, my breath ragged. Dad was still fighting the creature, dodging and firing. Blood stained the snow his blood. "No!" I screamed, raising my rifle. My hands shook as I aimed. The creature roared, its massive form blotting out everything else. I fired, but the shot went wide. Dad's rifle clicked empty. The beast lunged, knocking him to the ground. He cried out in pain as its claws raked across his side. Desperation fueled me. I fired again, hitting the creature in the shoulder. It howled but didn't go down. It turned toward me, eyes burning with rage. I froze, my mind screaming at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The creature charged. Then a gunshot rang out sharp and deafening. The beast stumbled, blood spraying from its side. Another shot followed, and it collapsed, thrashing wildly before finally going still. Dad stood a few feet away, his face pale and twisted in pain. Smoke curled from the barrel of his rifle. "Dad!" I ran to him, my chest heaving. "I'm okay," he grunted, though blood soaked his coat. "We need to get out of here." I helped him to his feet, supporting his weight as we made our way back toward the truck. The forest was eerily silent again, as if nothing had happened. Just before we crested the ridge, I glanced back. The creature's body was gone. Only the blood-stained snow remained. Dad and I never spoke about that day again. To this day, I don't know what that creature was, but one thing's for sure, I'll never forget that hunt. To this day, whenever I step into the woods, I feel it. Something lurking just beyond sight. Watching, waiting for the right moment to return. Have you ever had a hunting trip that didn't go as planned? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to know how far these tales travel. That was tonight's chilling tale from Dr. Conjuring's channel. If it sent shivers down your spine, please give us a like. It's completely free and helps us share these eerie stories with more brave souls like you. And if you're craving even more bone-chilling horror that will haunt your nights, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You'll never miss a new upload, each story more terrifying than the last, delivered straight to your inbox. Thank you so much for listening. We truly appreciate every one of you. Good night. And remember, sleep with one eye open. You never know what might be watching. Ha ha.